been a Christian for, gosh, I've been a Christian longer now than I have been not a Christian. So that's cool. Probably 28 years or so. And I ask these questions for me. You know what I mean? I'm one that wants to finish the race. I want to cross the line. I want to end up in heaven. You know, it's a sad reality that many will start this path, but they'll abandon it. And I think for you to know that God is devoted to you is going to be really important for you and the message you need to hear. But the question is, do you think we get it? Do you think we see it? So what do you see here? I have $5 if someone can guess what that is right now.
Is it a baby?
No? You only get one guess. What? No. See, you see it, right? Now look at me. Every one of you see that. But you don't see what it is. You see but you don't see. And that's kind of how it is with God. We see God, we see the Bible, but we don't really see it. And there's disconnect. You know, so what is it? It's getting a little clearer. Can we guess now? What is it?
UFO.
What is it? Flowers. What was the difference? That they became in focus. I did that with my camera. And that's how it is with God. We've come this week because I think some of us possibly have gotten out of focus in our relationship with the Lord. And understanding His incredible plan for our life. If I were to say to someone, do you see God's plan for your life? We'd all say, yeah, we see it. We see it. We see it. But we don't see it clearly. And we miss out when we don't see what God's plan is for our life. So my question is to you and to me is, do you clearly see? I'm a firm believer of this. Can't prove it. I don't know a Bible verse about it. But I believe this. I've never seen it not happen, but I believe this, that when you see Jesus for who He is, you'll become the most devoted follower of His than anyone else in the world. Because He is worth everything. The reason that we aren't fully devoted to Him is because we don't see Him clearly. He is everything that we need, everything we're longing for, everything we're desiring. He is it fully and wholly. And we just don't see it clearly. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you're not a Christian. It doesn't mean that you're just some rotten pagan person. It just means that you're not in focus. And we come away to camp, we do Sunday Night Youth Alive to keep the things of God in focus. Because if you just see that one blurry picture, that's not a very pretty flower. So if you see clearly God's devotion. I want to show two verses here. And tonight's not a real long message, so you can say yay, rah, rah. But I want to look at two verses here. This is in the book of James. And this is what God says. And I want to ask you, do you see this clearly? Come near to God, and God will come near to you. And I always put this here as, do you get it? Do you see that clearly? Do you see clearly that you can come near to God and that He will run to you? He'll want to come close to you. Most young people don't see this. They don't see that this incredible God. You look out at the mountains here. You see snow on the mountains. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. You see this God who created all things, and He's just incredible. And He says, if you make a step towards Him, He's going to come towards you. He wants it. He's just waiting, saying, come on, let me, come to me. Come on, come on, come on, because He wants to come to you. But God's respectful, and He's not going to force Himself on you. He responds to you. If you ask, you receive. If you knock, the door will be open. All these verses are talking about the God's heart. And the question is, do we see? Do you see clearly? Because you probably don't, because a lot of us are going through life in a deficit and we're not drawing near to God on a regular basis. And again, it's because we just don't get it. We just don't see. Now we see, but we don't see. And you notice what it doesn't say? It doesn't say come near to God when you're perfect. Come near to God when you haven't looked at porn for a week. Come near to God when you got it all, your act all together. It doesn't say anything. It says come near to God right where you're at. This week, right where you're at, you can start to approach and come near to God, and He's going to come near to you. And He's going to love you, and He's going to help you. It's going to encourage you. You guys have this opportunity to go back like, whoa, unbelievable. Yeah, when you get touched by this unbelievable God, you get unbelievable in you. And you go back and your friend said, well, how was it? It was like really good. And you can't even quite explain because the works of God are the inner soul and the inner heart stuff. But why does God do this? Why does He say this? Because He's devoted to loving you. Look at me. He's devoted to loving you. He's devoted. There's nothing you can do that will separate God's love from you. He's never going to abandon you. He's never going to do any of that. He gives you this truth because He is devoted. The God that we serve is 100% devoted to love mankind. You clearly see God's devotion. Look at what this verse says. It says, so let us come boldly to the throne of grace, then we will receive mercy. We will find grace to help us when we need it. That's in Hebrews 4:6. And so, do you see this? Like this happens in my life. It's kind of crazy. You know, I'll be driving my car. This actually happened today. I'm driving my car. You guys are going to think I'm a weak person, but I'm driving my car and it's got some stuff going on in my soul that's not right. I'm bothered in my soul. I got some stuff. You know, you never know. How you doing, Greg? Great. You know, I'm kind of plastic Christian at times. I got stuff going on in my soul, and I started to play a song, that Hillsong song, Hosanna. And it's like, make my heart be like yours. And I'm just crying out to God, and I just start crying, and tears start rolling down my heart. You know what I was doing? I got it. I could come boldly to God. I was thinking about this verse, and that song comes on. I was like, God, I'm going to come boldly to you because I need mercy, I need love, I need help, I need hope. God, I need it. My brain's all jarbled. Lord, help me. And I do it. I got it. I saw it. And when I did it, guess what happened? About right after I had that experience with God, guess how I felt? Incredible. It was great. But we don't see this because we don't do this stuff. You guys don't do this stuff. You don't come boldly to God and say, God, I need help. God, I'm hurting. God, I'm lonely. God, I'm struggling. God, this thing's big in my life. I need help. God, please. He says, come boldly to the throne of grace. He knows that you struggle. He knows what you go through. He knows that you have problems. He knows you sin. He knows the stuff you do that no one else knows. He knows it. Your parents don't know it. I don't know it. But He knows it. And He says, come boldly to me. Do you see that? And why does He do it again? Because He's devoted to loving you. He's devoted to offering this hope and this goodness to you. And so the truth is this, guys. We will not come to Jesus if we don't see Him for who He truly is. He says, come to me. Let me give you hope, love, and forgiveness. There was a woman who didn't see this. I'm going to close with a story in the Bible. There was a woman who didn't see this. She saw, but she didn't see. And her life suffered. Her life was empty. I don't know how old she was, maybe 30, 35. And she came to a place in her life of emptiness and despair. And she couldn't see the goodness of God. She never saw this, come boldly to God and He'll help you. She never saw that. She never got that. She saw religious people and she saw religion. And this is what religion says. You better be perfect or God won't love you. You can't come to God because you're a sinner. That's what she heard. She did things wrong sexually with guys. And she heard that there's God is a harsh God. And this God's not devoted only, well, I guess He's devoted, but only to those that are devoted to Him. And she heard all these wrong messages of religion throughout her whole life. And so here she's suffering, she's hurting, she's going through a lot of painful stuff, and she didn't see that she could come boldly to Jesus and to God. I say this, do you think she wanted to end up? Do you think she wanted to end up where she was? Can I say this? If we don't start to see God for who He is, I don't like to say this, we can end up like her. If you don't see that God is everything that you need, if Jesus is everything you need, I don't care who you are, how important you are to people and to your school and to others. if we don't see Jesus clearly and come to Him on a regular basis, it is very likely that some of us are going to end up like her, and it's just going to break God's heart. And it's going to be very, very sad for you. And so my prayer is, and people are praying, that we would see. We did not know her as a teenager. Very likely she was like many of us. So what happened? It's the same old story that happens to so many people. They're searching for significance. They're searching for love. They're searching for purpose. They try to find it in material things. They try to find it in popularity or sports or relationships. She tried to find it and she couldn't find it. You know the story. But the question is, did she see clearly the love of God, the mercy of God, the compassion of God? And the answer is no, she didn't. And it was tragic. Jesus came so that we would see. And so I'm going to go to the story. What was her name? Doesn't give us a name in the Bible. She's nameless. But I'll tell you, she was very important to God. And so let's just read this story and I'll wrap up with a few thoughts. It says, at dawn, He appeared. He is Jesus. He appeared again in the temple courts where all the people gathered around Him. And He sat down to teach them. The teachers of the law and the Pharisees brought a woman caught in adultery. So they take this woman, she was caught. And they didn't give a rip about her. They found her doing this sinful act, and she was an adulterer, and she blew it. I mean, she just made a big mistake. These religious people grabbed her and drug her out to embarrass her. They mocked her. They ridiculed her. She already had enough shame and garbage in her life, and they didn't care about her, these religious people. The people that said, I love God more than anyone. They just were jerks to her. And they wanted to make a point, so they grab her out and to embarrass her, and they throw her down at the feet of Jesus. And you've seen that in the Passion of the Christ, if you've seen that before. And they brought this woman caught in adultery, and they made her stand before the group. And they said to her, to Jesus, Teacher, this woman was caught in the act of adultery. Now in the law of Moses commanded us to stone such a woman. What do you say, Jesus? They were using this question as a trap in order to have a basis for accusing Him. You know, how heartless to put this woman in this situation. And so she sees Jesus. Now, I'll stop here. What do you think was going through her mind? What do you think was going through her being? She probably didn't want to be approached of Jesus because He was a religious person. Jackson.
She probably thinks she's probably going to die because she probably knew the law.
Yeah. That's right. She's terrified. And she saw Jesus, another religious person. What would He do? It says, but Jesus bent down and started to write on the ground with His finger. When they kept on questioning Him, He straightened up and said to them, the Pharisees, let any of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her. Again He stooped down and wrote on the ground. At this time, those who heard began to go away, one at a time, the older ones first. And they soon all departed until there was only two people left. And guess who it was? Jesus and this woman. He wanted her to see that He is devoted and He's a compassionate God. He's a God of mercy and grace. He's a God that cares. He wanted her to know that. He didn't want her to go on living her life of emptiness and adultery and fornication and drug addiction and pornography and deceitfulness and whatever it is. He doesn't want any of us to go on living that lifestyle. Because all it does is it damages us, it hurts us, and He loves us so much. So He's devoted to say, come to me, draw near to me, let me help you. And so there's only two people left. The older ones first, until only Jesus was left with the woman still standing there. Jesus straightened up and asked her, woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you? She looked and she said, well, no one, sir, she said. I love this. Then neither do I condemn you, Jesus declared. Go and now leave your life of sin. What happened when she saw Jesus clearly? her life was never the same as they were. She didn't meet religion. She met Jesus Christ. Jesus was foggy and blurry, and she couldn't make out who he was to begin with, and they were guessing, and she was. But when she got focused in on him, she saw him clearly. She saw his heart, and all of a sudden, he spoke into her and said, I don't condemn you. I've come to give you love. What did Jesus want her to see? What did she see? What do you see? I'm going to wrap it up now. Look at me for a second. What do you see when you see Jesus? What do you see? Because if you're bored, if you're dried, if your faith is like just mundane, you're not seeing the author of life. You're not seeing the one true Jesus. You're seeing religious activity. My life is the most amazing life possible, yet it's so hard sometimes. But I see Jesus, and he's worth giving everything up for. The last verse I want to share with you is this. It's the one Amy read at dinner. And I love this verse, and I love that word right there more than any other word in this thing, right there. That's the best word right there. See it? It doesn't say, for God loved the world, or God loved people. It says, for God so loved the world. He so loved the world. God saw the world, and he saw the world in hopelessness and despair and bondage and stuck in sin and problems. And he saw it. He says, God so loved the world. He so loved to pour out love that he said, Jesus, go give it up for these guys so that they could see that I love them. It says, for God so loved the people of this world that he gave his one and only Son, that everyone who has faith in him will have eternal life and never really die. God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world. He sent him to save them. Amy's going to come up and play this song. Come on up, Amy.
You want the lights out?
Yeah. And then I have a couple questions for you to go to your small groups. Song, listen to the words, because this might be some of you tonight. Maybe there's not a lot that you feel like you can give God. Maybe you're dry and you're empty and you're floundering. Want to pick? close your eyes in a sec. We're just going to be quiet for a moment. I know a lot of you are tired. It's kind of a long day. I didn't want to go real long tonight. You know, I don't know if I did an adequate job or not. Probably not. But my hope is that you know that God is devoted to loving you. And He gives you great verses and truths saying, draw near to me and I'll come to you. I want to love you and I want to help you. I want to be your God. God is devoted to His people. Do you know that? You see Him clearly? I'm going to be honest, I think it's really hard in this world we live in to see God clearly if we're not pressing into Him all the time. I'm glad you're here tonight because I'm hoping this week that you'll see Him clearer in your life. You know, I sent a little thing out to some of the parents, and the hardest part of my job is to see people 5, 10, 15 years from now like that woman, struggling, floundering, because they don't see Jesus. Lord, I pray tonight for these young people that they will see you. And they'll be drawn to you. And they'll desire you and they'll want you, God. God, I pray that so much. I want that so much, God. And so, God, I pray that through the power of your Holy Spirit, you just enlighten the eyes of their heart to see you. And that they would know that you